Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, it's said before the bogeyman goes to sleep, he checks under his bed. It's for my co-host, you know him, it's Mr. Taylor.
Oh yeah, I like a little bogeyman. I like to distract him at night.
Do you know what? He's a scary dude.
He is.
He's Taylor, not the bogeyman.
Well, yeah.
Well, welcome back, new listeners and repeat offenders, and thank you for joining us for another episode.
Yes, very
of the
welcome,
show.
Everybody.
This week, we've got an interesting topic. We're going to be deep diving into UFO disclosure. And this week, we're going to be talking about high-ranking officials / whistleblowers who've spoken out regarding, government alien UFO cover-ups.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah, by far, yeah.
We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. We've got a lot going on in the show from NASA News and other bits and pieces. But has anything happened for you this week? Has anything, cheered you up at all? Or what have you been up to?
No, not a lot, to be honest. Just investigating and researching,
Investigating
basically.
this,
Yeah.
investigating
Yourself,
that.
have you been up to what?
Doing some general investigation.
Yeah.
Well, I had a bit of in Xboxes.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm trying to sort my Xbox out. Yeah. Right. For some reason, it won't read me discs.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And I've not used the disc for ages, but there was a game I fancy playing, and I thought, do you know what? I'll pop that in.
Yeah.
And it went, no, unable to read your disc. Yeah, so it says your disc's broke, so I thought, nah, it can't be. So we've ended up checking all the discs, and none of them work. So I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Your player's fucking up.
Right, well, whatever you do, is a bit of advice, is don't try and take the thing apart. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It won't end well.
Yeah. Unless you know what you're doing.
Unless you know what you're doing, right?
Or at least look on YouTube before
I had a
lucky
escape. Yeah, well, let's put it that way. But don't attempt it if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, because you might just fuck
and
it
and it still didn't fix the problem.
It didn't.
So you know what I mean?
You're in a sticky situation there now.
Well, it wasn't actually. I'm in the same situation I was in from the start.
Well,
which this drive don't work, but it didn't cheer me up.
No.
But it was just like it was kind of like.
Got your head scratching.
No, it was like, comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. Do you know what I mean? You have to find the funny side in these things.
Yes.
I did see this, actually, that did cheer me up. And it was a story like, of somebody else going out the way to cheer somebody else up.
Oh, that's nice.
And I thought it was nice. And it was somebody you wouldn't even expect.
Oh, yeah.
Punk rocker Johnny Rotten.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you know the TV show The Masked Singer?
Yeah.
Right. Well, apparently his mum's a big fan.
Oh.
Yeah, and the former frontman of the Sex Pistols basically surprised her by going on the show The Masked Singer.
Oh, right.
And basically, nobody knew who he was. He was under a mask.
Yeah.
And then obviously it must have been a good, nice surprise
Made
for
sure
his mum.
And
he did it for his mum because she's battling Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was such a nice story. And obviously, punk rockers back in the day got a reputation.
That's
and,
true.
it goes to show that
people can't change.
Well, it's not even that. They could change. They're probably just lovely people all around anyway.
Well, yeah, that's true. Or should I say people's opinions had changed.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that cheered me up, and well done, Johnny Rotten, because do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
not
man,
only
nice
did you
fella.
make a good couple of albums there, you're doing some
you
good old mum as well.
Yeah, that's it.
So
probably haven't been busy for a while.
Other things this week, obviously, we're on Red Wall Radio.
We are indeed
every week now from I think it is Thursdays, but I think we're being played on a Sunday as well. But I might be wrong. We'll have to check with that. Yeah, might have to check into that.
Yes,
but I did notice we were on a Sunday one day last week.
Popular,
but as I know it,
we're
on at 9 p.m. every Thursday.
That's a defo,
and that is a defo. I think. I will send a link or drop a link in random places throughout. If you've not checked them out, they play a good selection of music as well as some good radio personalities.
People like us, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what more can you ask for
Well, obviously, some more of us because we were put on there twice.
Exactly. Well, if you like us as much as them, you can go over to Patreon and sign up. There's plenty of tiers to choose from Agent, Special Agent, and Top Secret.
Oh, beyond Top Secret. Yeah.
And that kind of gets you some perks, I suppose.
It does indeed, yeah.
Some little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And it helps us out to develop
really
the show and make it that bit better for you guys.
We always want to stride on so we can get better quality for you lot.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, just before we move on with the show, quick little interlude, just to say that this episode is brought to you in part by Audible.
It is.
Well, Audible are offering a trial offer, and it's a great way for new customers to try audiobooks and make the most of every moment.
Oh, yeah.
What you get with your trial is if you're a Prime customer as well, you get 2 free tokens, which means you can get 2 free audiobooks.
Oh, nice.
So if you listen to podcasts and, obviously you're listening to stuff on the go or on your commute, this is another good thing for entertainment.
Yeah,
do you know
at work some day or something like that. Or...
I'm currently listening to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is Hunter S. Thompson, which is really cool, and I got that on a token.
Oh, that's good.
Basically, you can choose 1 free audiobook every month to keep.
Hey,
if you continue with the subscription,
but
you get 30 days free trial, which obviously, if you're a Prime member, you get 2. If you're not, you get 1.
Yeah.
But subscription is $7.99 per month afterwards. But you can cancel anytime. They've got a great selection from downloadable audiobooks to listen to from the world's bestsellers, original series, and more.
Yeah.
They've got sci-fi, fantasy,
old, new,
all sorts. Really, they've got a lot of conspiracy books and stuff about space and the moon and stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be good.
So
maybe you lot could tell us something a bit more about it.
Yeah, well, we'll post you a link and get signing up. It's pretty decent actually for what you get.
Yeah, it's definitely quality for what you're getting.
You can cancel anytime.
Yeah, and you're getting something for free as well, and you don't even have to pay later on. You don't if you didn't want to stay.
No, that's it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And you know what? Every time I cancel my free trial, they just offer me another free trial about 10 minutes later.
Did it? Oh, bang! I'd get all my book collection through that. Yeah.
Well, I have built up a nice little collection of books from just
and you can too.
And you can too. Yeah, exactly. Get signing up. Yeah. Well, we said we're going to be talking about high-ranking military officials, not only military officials, but big high-ups, government figures.
Yeah, in important
presidents.
Places. Yes, there was a lot of presidents at one point.
We're going to be talking and taking a peek at some of the most high-ranking officials who've whistle-blown and spoken out regarding government, alien, UFO disclosure and cover-ups. After years of deception and lies and covering up.
And we all know it.
Why do seemingly credible people feel the need to confess regarding the alien debate? Do you know what I mean? In the first case we're going to be talking about, there's a man who won't even identify himself as kind of like in his name.
Yeah.
But he does say he's a former CIA agent.
Yeah.
Wishes to remain anonymous, but he came clean about his involvement in a huge alien cover-up during his time working for the CIA.
Yeah. He was. He's actually one of the ones who, in the past, I was looking for because he did a job for the president later on.
But the thing is, he doesn't identify himself, name-wise, so it's very difficult to kind of corroborate what he's saying.
This is the reason why is because he basically, he went through a program he joined the army when he left school. He'd gone on to radio and photographic communications and checking out photos and that. And then basically, he went off training to another course. There was only 5 trainers. 3 of them were leaving. So he was offered the job there. The day he started the job, the very next day, his boss, who was the director of the CIA, come over to him and said, do you fancy doing another job? And basically he went and visited President Eisenhower.
So so in the video he claims to have worked for several US Army areas.
Yeah.
He says he worked for the CIA. He worked for
Yeah.
the US Air Force on Project Blue Book.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
One of the USAF official studies on UFOs.
Yeah.
And he refers to the projects partially as a fraud and asks for clarification about it. But he says that the Blue Book cases were completely fictitious.
Yeah, that's right. There was a couple of more projects that was doing the proper work, which was Project Moon Dust and Blue Fly. Blue Fly went out there and collected the items, looked and collected for the items, and Moon Dust were the ones who checked out and developed on from there.
Right, okay. So this chap who claims to be a CIA operative...
Yeah.
He, like you were just saying there, he met up with Eisenhower, didn't he?
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
Eisenhower we talked about last week, and the fact that he was involved in the Valiant Thor.
Yes. 1958 he was doing this.
He was quite... I mean, we'll go into... Because we'll talk about Eisenhower in a bit, because we've got a quote regarding his, belief in aliens what he had to say about it.
Yeah.
But he was a firm believer in it all.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
if he was to actually have met them, that'd be like proof enough, wouldn't it, really?
Oh, yeah.
But he's basically met with Eisenhower, and he's been given this position. He's been told that he's had to go to Nevada to gather intel at Area 51.
Yeah, because they wouldn't let him in. Basically, they told whoever was at Area 51 said that the government has no legal right to come in and demand what they want.
Okay, so he's gone to Area 51, but why would they let him in for a start if they've got no legal right to? Why would the president need to send somebody in to gather information? Is what I'm saying.
Because the president instructed this man to turn around and at the gate tell him that if they don't let you in, that the chief will send in the First Army and we will force our way in. So they had.
But that's what I'm saying. So who was the person behind the door saying no, you can't come in? Do you know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah.
To the president.
Because it can't. If you think about it, it can't be the CIA. It was, and
because he's claiming to
Majestic
be a CIA operative working for the president, and he's going to gather intel at Area 51.
And the director was along with him.
He claims that he did actually gain entry, and whilst in there, in one of the hangars, he saw several alien spacecraft, right, including the craft that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico.
Yeah, a bit banged up, wasn't it?
Then him and his superiors were taken to S4 facility southwest of Area 51, where they observed live extraterrestrials.
Yes, well, at first he was shown footage of an actual autopsy of one, and then the director was allowed to go in and speak to this alien, and he got the opportunity basically to be in the same room at the same time.
So there's kind of holes in this guy, right? I mean, if he is a CIA operative, then you'd think that the president wouldn't be told no for a start. He wouldn't be told that you can't come in, or you can't get intel or whatever.
Yeah,
he's the commander in chief.
Yeah, but look at it now. I mean, there are people over the commander-in-chief who can turn around and say to him, like, no, bugger off, you can't do it. And you can't even do it even more now than you could back then.
So do you think it's like the Book of Secrets type thing where it's not even the president knows, and then it's like... So in Independence Day when he was like, we've got an Area 51, and it's like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, except for it's not the CIA who run it, so if it weren't the CIA who was running it, who was running it?
Okay,
that's what got me thinking about looking into this.
The other hole I find in this guy, potentially going by anonymous, I mean, like I said earlier, if we were able to kind of get a name, we could corroborate whether he was in the CIA or not. Potentially, you could find documents with his signature on it, with a stamp or something.
Yeah, but he had several different names, and he'd also been threatened years afterwards. He'd been
all
threatened.
Very convenient. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to, say that he's not legit. But it's one of those, when you're looking at it, and when you look down the list, when you look down the list of credible, names that are putting themselves forward in the debate, you've got to kind of go, well, this guy, although his video's very compelling and, you know, like, you want to believe what he's saying, it's like you've got to look at it as a, you know, a logical sort of way, you know. And like I say, there's plenty of officials who have been in military and, you know, there's proof and record of them being there.
Oh, yeah. But you got to think he was on his deathbed at this time.
Yeah, of course. And this is another thing. It's like how they...
He had 3 months.
You know, there's a lot of
time.
people who come out on the deathbed.
Yeah.
And, you know, confess all this. I mean, you've got to look at it. One, is he just got a really funny sense of humour?
Well,
or is he telling the truth? Do you know? And it's like, he must, to keep those secrets for that long, because I'm sure that there's more than a disclosure agreement that you've got to sign when you work for these people.
He brought this up because this interview happened in 2013. He had 3 months to live. His kidneys were shutting down, basically. And his right to speak ended 2010. But the thing is, I watched this guy at the time, and a couple of times afterwards as well. I seen the interview. Actually, the interview was a lot longer than the one that you can get hold of now. And there's things in it that that specify that maybe in the last couple of years has come up, and not come up beforehand in any kind of documentation or anyone coming forward and saying, well, yeah, I was there at that time doing this and that. And here's my credentials, basically saying, I don't give a fuck, I'll tell you who I am. Well, and don't forget that...
I totally get where you're coming from.
Threaten a family nowadays, you know
I mean, but when you're looking at, you know, people who were... What would you consider credible, you know, witnesses or kind of like testimonies?
More evidence from him, but like, you
can't get a bit more. You can't get better than a former president, can you? Really? No. So there's 2 tonight. So John F. Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Many people are convinced that John F. Kennedy was simply killed because he wanted to kind of expose the alien cover-up.
Well, he was supposed to have sent a letter 10 days before his assassination to the CIA telling them that he ordered them, they had to give all the information out about it. But then at the same time, there was other things going on, like with the mob and with the military and other kind of things as well.
Okay, because there's a lot of people... I don't want to keep being the naysayer, because there are a lot of people who believe those letters were forgeries.
Yeah.
So, you know, going from playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I mean, the theories claim, obviously, that, you know, Kennedy got information on the aliens in Area 51 a few days before he died.
Yeah.
And together more about the Russian space program as well.
Because he was the president after Eisenhower, wasn't he? So he was directly the next person. I suppose,
he was kind of taking that all
charge.
on, wasn't he? Yeah, exactly. I mean, Eisenhower himself was one of the most popular sort of alien theorists in terms of presidents.
Yeah.
He was obsessed, if you like.
One of the first reports as well. Well,
like we said earlier, last week, I mean, he rather secretly met with aliens, telepathically connected with them.
Yeah.
You know, there was something going on there with Eisenhower, and obviously the setup of Area 51.
And he was supposed to be scared as well, apparently.
How do you mean, scared?
Well, he was scared of what was going to come if he didn't do the right decisions, make the right moves. I think, think about it in the position. Imagine you being the president of the world now and UFOs land on the door. But years, because this was like 58.
It's a big responsibility to take.
Years beforehand, we had like Roswell, then we had like the real New York, not New York, sorry, Los Angeles, back with Los Angeles. Then we had in 1952... where the White House was being buzzed with UFOs on a daily basis, and the weekly it was getting more and more, and then it went away. I mean, you know what I mean? He was in a high position.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people say as well. Do you know the speech on the military-industrial complex?
Yeah,
had a deeper warning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, in terms of alien sort of activity, and I always thought Thingy did as well. Do you know? Reagan, when he did his Star Wars speech.
Oh yeah,
you know, when it's kind of like it can be like, you know, another enemy or whatever, but it's like if you do think about it, it could mean aliens or an invader of another sort.
Well, he was another president who actually seen 2 UFOs. In fact,
They've all seen them, haven't they? So
they reckon 33% of presidents have seen or been close to UFOs or aliens or whatever you want to call it.
So you've got presidents, but who else do you think? Military commanders, or like people who have
generals,
high rankers who have been in contact with aliens potentially.
Yeah.
Astronauts.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Edgar Mitchell, who's a former astronaut, became obsessed with UFOs. Yeah. And he claims that ever since he's basically seen an alien in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says they totally exist. And he's basically originally became an astronaut because he was so obsessed about aliens himself from the start.
I like it.
So
I like it.
He's basically said that there's definitely aliens out there.
Yeah.
And he said that
right.
He claims that the citizens of the town in Roswell were told that the government to let it go, and they tried to basically, cover it up.
Yeah, well, it's the first major cover up if you think about it.
So he's had to kind of like live with that secret.
Yeah.
For all that long. Supposedly, he managed to get confirmation that alien spacecraft had crashed in Roswell.
But imagine it on your conscience as well for that long.
But then further inquiries were shut down.
Of course.
So,
they don't want you to
another
say a thing.
astronaut, Gordon Cooper, the late, great Gordon Cooper, is it? Yeah, so he was apparently one of the first humans in the space program.
That's right.
Project Mercury. And he's basically said, for many years, I'd lived with the secret. Yeah. And this was another deathbed confession. So he's basically said, for many years, I lived with the secret imposed by all the imposed on all astronauts.
Yep.
I can now reveal on this day that the US radar instruments captured objects of all forms and basically where they were unknown to them.
Yeah.
Right. He felt that they needed to have top level clearance, to even get a look at it.
Yeah.
They'd collect and analyse data from all over the Earth concerning any type of encounter, and how the best interface was with these visitors, and to try and get a friendly sort of meet up or a friendly sort of face to face, if you like. So he's basically saying that they were totally meeting up with aliens. They knew about them. They were tracking them. They were getting thousands of different updates from loads of different areas on a daily basis. You had to have totally top level clearance to even get privy to the data.
Yeah, well, this is why Project Blue Book ended up. They'd been forced basically because the public were talking about it so much that they were told that for our defence alone, for America's defence alone, you need to investigate it, and that's the same subject as today because it's a defensive thing. Because if you don't know what they are that's coming into your airspace, picking up your people, doing weird things, then what are the use for you? You're not useful for me as a government. Let's change you. Yeah,
there was a film about Gordon Cooper, The Right Stuff, 1983 movie, starring Dennis Quaid as Cooper. He actually had a number of UFO sightings during his military career.
Did he?
And he basically maintained right up until his death in 2004 that the US government had long been hiding stuff, and it was a big large-scale UFO cover-up. In a letter to Ambassador Griffin to the United Nations in New York, dated the 9th of September, he wrote that he's lived with the secret and all the rest of it. Yeah, all that quote.
Spilt his guts.
So
good lad.
Go.
Well, quite a lot of the people in Roswell have done this on their deathbed. Have spoken out and said, "Well, Jesse was right about this," or he was right about that. I did see this. I didn't see that.
Did you find any? I've got a couple more, but so who did you come across? Because I mean, there's several, isn't there? I mean, like
you know what? If you really look into it, there's loads of people out there who are former military, air, politicians. I mean, any department.
But this is what I'm getting
CIA.
at. I mean, to be fair, that guy's video, like I said at the beginning, it's really compelling and it is put out there a lot. I've seen it a couple of times and I was like, well, I believe you, but there's a couple of things that, just red flag with me. Do you know what I mean? But then when you look into it and if it sparks you off in looking into actual military officials and high-ranking, government whistleblowers, and it's not even whistleblowers; it's a case of
truth seekers.
You're as working for these government, departments, needing to keep these secrets, for so long. And if you've got a job for life with them, that's a long time to keep a secret.
Oh yeah, especially if you know something.
To clear your conscience, wouldn't it make sense that, after so many years, you'd be like, do you know what? I'm sick of lying about this. I seen something that nobody else is going to ever seen, and I can't just hide the fact, knowing that everybody wants answers about it.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, you could be considered like, fruitcake or whatever, but this is what makes it more, cements it more for me, because it's like, why would somebody who's had a great career in the military, they've rose to a rank where it's colonel or, with general or whatever, and then or even had a political career after your service. Why you'd put your reputation on the line in front of your colleagues and your peers to say something so wild and kind of something that's going to ruin your reputation, basically, right? They must believe what they seen and what they're saying is true. It does lend more credibility to it than the guy who wouldn't even give his name. And now I understand that he might want to give his name, but if he was on his deathbed, why would you need to hide that information?
Well, because of family. This is the thing.
It's not the mafia.
No,
we're not talking about the Sopranos. Then it's like, we're going to come after your family.
Well, this is the thing that if they can't get at you, if I had
but they don't need to get at him because he's on his deathbed. That's the difference.
But when you're on your deathbed,
like
you're willing to say anything. If you told all my dirty secrets, then I won't be very happy. And to make you even think to make you suffer, I'm going to touch your family if you speak out about this. I mean, look at the way Men in Black. Look at the amount of people who have been threatened, like in Roswell, knock on the door. Right, well, if you say something, there's plenty of desert here, mate. You're gone. You know what I mean? Plain and simple and said. And if you think I'm joking, say it.
Fair
you know
enough.
what I mean? And there is plenty of evidence that people have gone disappearing, Wells looking into this kind of thing. You know what I mean? There's quite a few. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when, there was a list of, ufologists who were dying it left, right and centre. It was like... Then there was weird dying... not just, straight... Some suicides weren't suicides. Some, strange things like oil coming out the mouth and shit like that as they're just about to drop the big bomb on something. These kind of things happen, and so it came to put... I think they are going to do it if you open your gob, because it's worse for them than it is for you.
Well, is it the government or is it the aliens?
Well, the agency, whoever's taken charge of it, because I still now, because of this, don't believe that the CIA were the ones solely responsible.
Well, this is it. It was like, with
units before
with Eisenhower sending CIA. This is it. If he's been sent by Eisenhower to go to the door, then Eisenhower, being the UFO guy who's in on it, would have had access. It's not like that where in Independence Day, then in that case where it's like, he was out in the dark up until he needed to know. It was a need to know situation. And he was informed.
But you've got to consider this as well. Ex-President Bush Sr., he had a lot of information. He was only in as a CIA director for, I think, 2 years. And from there on, he had a lot.
He's privileged to meet the aliens, but he can't go to Area 51. That's off limits.
And don't forget, CIA, National Security cover-up, what they use, and Majestic were done after Roswell, which was 47. So it looks like there may have been a couple of teams beforehand, or a group beforehand, which was actually running
Majestic or Area 51. Yeah, so I mean, you'd have to have some sort of man in charge, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, you've got another whistleblower. You've got another General Stephen Lovekin.
I love him.
Esquire.
Lovekin.
I don't know why they put Esquire at the end.
Because he's an Esquire.
Well, yeah, he must be. But he was brought in as a 19-year-old on Project Blue Book.
How'd you get that job as a 19-year-old with, wet behind the ears, fresh out of school?
Yeah, because you're fresh, you're vulnerable, and you can be manipulated.
Molded and manipulated into a CIA operative.
Yeah, well, that's it, you know what I mean? And
you went orphan, son.
He said about they used to discuss in the office about UFOs, what would happen, what reports, and actually no reports come from the Pentagon at all, and which should have been. That's where the reports should have been coming from, and it wasn't. It seems to have been them reports were going to moon dust.
Right, okay.
But he even specified about at Roswell, where they brought out supposedly a bar, and it had like symbols on it and stuff like that.
There's a lot of these artifacts with sort of symbols and hieroglyphs on.
Yeah,
I mean that kind of lends to the Egyptian sort of theories.
Yeah.
That they were here previous, and that's where we've got that sort of culture from.
Shouldn't we really, because we've looked at it for so long, shouldn't we be looking outside the box of that kind of what meaning? So look at it.
I mean, but with linguistics studying, like reading hieroglyphs and stuff. But I mean, it's strange because I mean, it's all about interpretation, isn't it? So it's like we may be interpreting it in one way, which makes sense, but maybe there's another meaning behind it. So I don't know. I found General Nathan Twinning?
Twinning? Oh.
Yeah. General Nathan Twinning served as Chief of Staff to the United Air Force between 1953 and 1957. As a Chairman and Joint Chief of Staff between 1957 and 1960. Ooh. Highly distinguished officer.
Yeah.
Twilling rose through the ranks and basically became from a low private 4-star general to Secretary of Defense.
Nice.
Yeah, so to the president himself. So he basically said in a secret letter to the Air Force back in 1947 that flying saucers were real and not visionary of fiction.
Right on there.
So he said that they were metallic, light reflective surfaces. They were circular in shape, flat bottoms and tops with a bit of a dome. And he said they were well-kept flight in formation. And, they were varied from 3 to 9 objects. So this is another sighting by a general who's, actually wrote a secret letter to inform certain other military officials that he's seen something that he can't explain. Yeah?
You got to write it down.
So when the Pentagon release, their report... on all this stuff, it makes me laugh because obviously if
something in it,
they don't include all these secret letters and actual sightings from military officials who have seen it in detail and able to describe it.
Because you've got to actually go and do your homework and actually go to them and go, right, Freedom of Information Act, bang, I want this, I know you've got it, give it me. But then, like a part of Project Moondust, they actually some guy was looking for it for ages, which we'll talk in a couple of weeks about, and they actually burnt it. They burnt it near enough the day he wanted it, deliberately.
Right. Okay.
Supposedly.
Well, I've got this last one for in terms of people.
Yeah.
Finding out bits and pieces. Well, I'll do this one,
Yeah,
and then
go
you can
for it.
finish us off.
Yeah.
So in December 2017, the New York Times broke a dramatic story that the American government had been operating a secret UFO study program between 2008 and 2012 called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, or the AATIP.
Yeah. Which wasn't supposed to be on.
It cost $22 million as a Pentagon project, which, according to the Times, continued quietly to this day.
Yeah.
So that's going on in the background, where the aircrafts apparently, unearthly in origin, are tracked and, looked at as a potential threat.
Yeah.
So, that's quite interesting. I mean, that came out, and I think it was, is it Alonzo?
What's his name? Yeah, the filmmaker.
Louis Alonzo.
Yeah, that's the fellow.
Yeah, that's it. So the man who helped headed the Pentagon UFO program, Louis Alonzo, told journalists that the aircraft, or UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, were performing magnificent feats, flying around, basically defying the laws of physics. More shockingly, Alonzo revealed that the Pentagon had been recovering bizarre metal alloys from alleged crashed UFOs.
Yeah, apparently the stealth fighter is part of it, and I also found out that the RSR-71 Blackbird, which was a spy plane, the engines were possibly a part of a UFO as well.
Well, his actual quote was, "We've identified some very, very interesting anonymous types of aircrafts. Let's call them aircrafts. Things don't have any obvious flight surfaces. The obvious forms of, or propulsion that we have today.
Yeah, no wings or anything.
The heavy G forces of for humans, but look like anything biological would have problems in it, obviously. But he says that they defy the laws of aerodynamics.
Yeah, and he's an expert on
so there
that
you
kind
go.
of things.
So who else did you find in terms of?
Well, I found I found some interesting things on this actually. A guy called Don Phillips. Now, when he left school about 1920, he went and worked for Lockheed Martin.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So after a while, he worked there from 61 to 62. And ended up, after a year working there as an engineer, to work at Skunk Works, which is the development part of Lockheed.
So he was building UFOs then?
Yes, so he was a part of the military complex of, you build that and that. And apparently his baby was the SR-71. He was the actual one who built the engines for it. And he specifies that there could be alien technology involved in it. Obviously, it's classified because it's still up and running. But also, he claims that a company called Light City Technologies are developing. When the development happens, it goes to this company, and this company decides and makes if it comes in to
so they decide whether it goes into the mainstream and available for consumer level market.
And it's under extreme secret act.
Yeah, because apparently, like these, they're so far in advance, like in terms of technology, aren't they? And it's like we when we get the new anything, it's always like we had that 20 years ago.
Another Lockheed Martin CEO, in fact, Bill Rich.
They just put it in a nicer plastic case. It's essentially the same shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And he says we're at least 400 years in advance. We've got all that technology. It's just a case of bringing it out, and those who have the power of letting it out and not, obviously the ones who are controlling
it. Yeah, I suppose that's it. I mean, it's like if they were meetings with alien species and they had technology, you couldn't just drop that and say, oh, look what we've just discovered. You'd need to kind of have reasoning behind it, where it's like, well, if we backtrack it and, like reverse engineer it, we can say, we've just made a discovery which potentially could lead to this. Yeah. And then you know what the outcome's going to be because you've just reverse engineered it. But then over a period of 10 years, you can sell individual components. People integrate it into their technologies, and it becomes a thing. And whether you come out with a piece of technology that it's brand new. Now you got to remember, in terms of invention nowadays, it's like components have patents. Yeah. So if you wanted to build something, it's like it's not as easy. It's not as easy as it used to be.
Unless you're in China.
Unless you make physical components yourself.
Yeah, but still you'd be copying. You'd still be destroying the copyright.
Exactly. You'd still need to come up with a new way of doing it yourself. Is what I'm getting at. Yeah. And it's like, so even a nut and a bolt might have a patent, which means that somebody owns part of your
you owe a couple
invention or whatever. So it's there's always something like that going on. So in terms of kind of like in this situation, get handed down technology from an alien race, say, you reverse engineer it. You start doing that. You patent individual components.
Well, you have to before you get caught out. You know what I mean? And he'd been out a couple of times actually onto Groom Lake, Area 51, and he'd said like he'd spotted these like lights in the sky, and the like they were doing like 4,000 miles an hour and then straight turn. And he was actual test pilot as well for the new planes and stuff that come out. And he ended up contacting his mate.
Well, this is it though, because a lot of test pilots ended up becoming astronauts because who else are you going to get to do it at the end of the day? You want the best of the best reflexes and kind of physical punishment.
If something goes wrong,
G-force.
He knows how to deal with them.
Exactly, yeah. They're trained for that, really, aren't they? Test pilots, so
But like he contacted his mate who was up in the radar tower, and he goes like, He couldn't believe the things he was seeing on his screen, and he had to report it himself. But then it went like, obviously, hush, and then the threats come out like, you can't say shit. If you do, we're going to do you. We're going to do your family.
Well, Neil Armstrong's like made cryptic comments several times. So's Buzz, hasn't he?
Yeah, but then he's backtracked.
Yeah, but I mean, it's almost like Cooper said. Everybody's kind of every astronaut is. In that position where you know what you've seen and you know what's out there, but you can't really say anything because of the web of lies that have been constructed over the years.
Oh, yeah. I think out of all the astronauts that have come out and said anything, which there is more than half of them, you'll find that Cooper has always it stood true. He's always like come and said,
did.
Bam,
There
we go.
Then
I've got one more.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, I've got. In fact, it goes back to one of our earlier episodes. In fact, Lawrence Warren, who was a security guard at Bentwater. Do you remember where Bentwater was?
Brentwater.
Yeah. Suffolk, 19.
Yeah, I was going to say he was in the UK. Yeah.
This was the Randasham Forest incident. Well, he was at the other airbase at the time and on patrol, and he's an eyewitness, and he gives quite a lot of details on what actually
wasn't he the chap who went over and touched it?
No, he was actually security guard at the other base, which was 6 miles away.
Right. So he saw the craft in the air and in motion, sort of thing.
The second night there was a massive one and a couple of small ones, and basically soldiers from both bases were coming in, and they were actually under these ships or items, whatever you want to call them. That. He's a real good witness as well. He's got some.
Well, I think you'll agree that there's plenty of them,
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I mean, for a lot of people in like positions of authority and credible career and stuff like that.
Why would you throw it away?
Why would you kind of potentially become a laughing stock?
And threaten to your family.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, why would you do that? I mean, I think in terms of kind of proof and disclosure, he says a lot more than the CIA FBI document that came out recently. That was kind of a bit jokey, wasn't it? I would love to see
it's like
actual
a Project Blue Book.
I'd love to see the actual, report.
Yeah,
to be honest.
You want to read the whole report? I think you can download it.
No, we've got the report. If you want to check out the CIA report that came out, it is actually available to download on our website at neverastraightanswer.co.uk.
Big words, no substance.
All talk.
Yeah, basically.
All talk, no trousers.
Still the same thing. They're not admitting that they know it's UFO. It's aliens.
Well, if you've got anything to add, if you know of another case of a high-ranking military official, government official, MP,
if you're one yourself and you wish to
get in touch, we'd love to have a chat.
Oh, wow, yeah, definitely.
I think there's plenty of them about. I mean, we've covered a few of our kind of like top picks, and I think like when it comes down to presidents, astronauts, Air Force, you can't really go. I mean, CIA were proper full of lies, aren't they? Though.
Well,
I wouldn't trust the CIA guy.
Definitely the free
the astronauts
place
maybe
that you wouldn't trust.
Yeah,
so the first ones.
Well, there you go. Would love to hear your feedback and comments and suggestions about that.
Yeah, please do.
So drop us a comment. We've got a featured podcast this week.
We have indeed.
Promo, in fact. Cause of Death.
Wow.
Cause of Death explores past pandemics, epidemics, and outbreaks even. The podcast will discuss infections, diseases, and social disease, and how we all reacted to them. It looks at the history as well, and obviously, I think it does help going forward, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It's not suitable for children under the age of 13.
Right, okay.
But check them out. We've got a promo for you right now.
Hello, and welcome to Cause of Death. My name is Jackie Moranti. I've been studying infectious disease for 14 years in various research settings. I have a Bachelor's of Science from Colorado State University in microbiology, immunology, and virology. I've worked with diseases like tuberculosis, SARS-1, and SARS-CoV-2, better known as COVID-19, and I've worked with EHV-1. It's my feeling that if we look back at the pandemics of the past, we may be able to better handle the pandemics of the future. The problem is, we have to learn our lessons first. Come along with me while I tell you about the pandemics, the epidemics, and the outbreaks, and how we never seem to learn our lesson.
Well, thanks, guys, for sending in your promo. You can, too.
You can.
If you want to get involved and send us your promo, you could be featured on the show.
Be like these guys.
Be like these guys did. Send us your promo to neverastraightanswer@gmail.com, and we could play it on the show. Well, there you go. Well, coming up, what have we got?
We've got the news.
Well, without further ado, it's the news. It is indeed the news, and as always, we've scoured the World Wide Web and funny papers.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny papers out there
to find the most exciting news going on.
Yes,
in the world today.
Truthful.
And I don't think we're disappointed.
No.
You won't be.
We'll
start off with this one. All this stuff with climate change and, being eco-friendly.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of governments putting in a lot of money, to kind of do clean-up acts, trying to clean up their acts.
Yeah.
Denmark.
Oh, yeah. They should be really
This is a story
clean,
off Vice. Denmark, you'd think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right, well, they spent, fair play, they put the money in, 150k.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to clean up the beaches, right?
Enough if it's got the right
Wanted to get rid of seaweed and plastics, right?
Well, keep the seaweed, get rid of the plastic.
What do you think they did with it? Took it to a recycling centre, or maybe a landfill or something. Worse? Yeah.
What did they do?
They dumped it back in the ocean.
Ah, fuck off.
No, seriously.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's
Why
Denmark have come under fire after reports of it spending $150,000 a year.
A year?
Yeah, on basically bulldozers that remove seaweed and plastic from the beaches, only to dump it back in the sea. according to the Danish national broadcaster Denmark Radio, the bulldozers can be found driving up and down the beaches in the I can't say it, the municipality,
Right.
twice a week during the summer months. And there's been videos released of the bulldozer driving a few yards into the water before dumping its contents in the sea.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're earning their money, aren't they? Because they're shoving it out to bring it back in, so the next day they can carry on doing it. And wouldn't it be cheaper if they got, instead of bulldozers, maybe people go and pick it out?
Yeah, hire people to do that as a job. I mean, I'm sure there's some beach people who love the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Who do it anyway.
And it won't cost 150 grand a year.
You know, the environmentalists, give them a wage and get them out picking up they're doing a job that they can be proud of.
Yeah, well, you know
getting
what their
paid for
punishment
it.
should be?
What?
For 1 year, everyone in the world drops a rubbish in there.
What, on Denmark?
On Denmark, right, now fucking
Hey,
move it.
guys.
Yeah.
You're not playing nice.
Yeah, you got to play with the rules, Don't play with the big oil companies and the gas
I mean,
companies
the
and the
seaweed,
governments. Play with the people.
is one thing, but I mean, plastics. I
Yeah.
mean, you know what the crap's like at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. Seaweed, that's handy. You can actually use it for food and stuff nowadays, you know
Well,
what I mean?
the thing is, seaweed's probably, they probably use that in those Beyond Burgers and stuff like that, plant-based, meats.
We'll be
or
eating
plant-based stuff.
Yeah, the way things are going
stuff
on.
you get in supermarkets these days.
If
You've tried one of them
stuff,
and they actually taste like I just don't understand why people get vegetarian options that look like meat.
Yeah, because
it's like, I don't like meat, I don't like the look of meat, don't like the texture of meat, but
carrot,
I'll get me tofu shaped inside like a chicken drumstick
exactly.
or a
But
sausage.
It's the visual thing, isn't it? It's the visual
Great,
and colour.
yeah, I mean,
the
fact that a burger looks nice as a burger.
Yeah, but I must admit, the vegetarian burgers don't
Off
look
topic
nice.
slightly,
Or
but,
smell nice, to be honest.
Well, I've seen them in the supermarket and I had to have a look. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I have flora because it's made from plants than it is from cows or anything like that.
Okay.
Which is another alternative to using an animal.
Well, yeah, there's plenty, isn't there? I mean, people have always used margarines or whatever as sunflower spreads or whatever, or even olive oil spreads and stuff. So they have been kind of like for that type of thing. There's been alternatives for ages, and that was more to do with like cholesterol and
true.
health issues and health benefits.
Yeah,
not so much sustainability and less using of like animal products. And I think that's caught up now. But I think the initial reasoning behind that was more to do with our health rather than anything else.
Well, true.
Talking about making stuff you're eating. Yeah. I found this story. I mean, this is gross, right? Tapeworm found in a man's brain years after he ate feces-tainted food.
Ew,
so again, knowing where your food comes from.
Oh yeah, never eat them nuts on the bar.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, the fact that it was in his brain. This is a fella from Massachusetts. He was a 38-year-old man. He fell off his bed and started having a seizure at 4 a.m. When it woke his wife up. The wife found her husband on the floor, shaking and speaking a bit of gibberish. He was rushed to the hospital where the doctors said that, after basically being under scans and stuff like that, they did a few tests and they found that he had a tapeworm in his brain.
Whoa, that's...
Must have been a big one as well. I mean, I don't know how big it was because, you do get...
Well, here we are.
How did it get from the gut to the brain?
Yeah, because 11% of people in the UK have a tapeworm and don't even know about it.
Really?
That makes them more popular than dogs.
That's handy. Really? There you go.
Does,
there you go. There's a statistic for you.
There you go, yeah.
So have you seen anything in the news this week that you thought was,
I have.
newsworthy?
I thought, we were on about the environment and weird things. COP26, it's finished, but Camilla, Prince Charles's missus, she was
I was going to say a bit on the side then, but
Well, that was a long time ago, allegedly. She's been talking about President Biden very much so the last
What,
couple of days.
like he's a really nice chap?
Oh, no. About how he stood near her.
Did he try and cop a feel?
Oh, no. He stood right near her, moved his hip a little bit, and she thought, oh, he was just, trying to get comfy.
Yeah.
And he lets her rip her out.
Really?
A stinky one and a noisy fucker, apparently.
Biden let one rip in front of Camilla.
Yeah, and every person she went and talked to, she was telling him. And it was like, oh, my days. So he is human then.
No, I mean, this is it. I'd expect that sort of nonsense from Trump, but I wouldn't expect that from Biden. Do you know what I mean? I thought he was he is a Texan.
Well, yeah, he's also a bit of a numpty, I'm finding at the moment. Since he's been in presidency before. Beforehand, he was a nice fella, but since he's been on the job, I think he's fucking up America and America in deep shit.
I think it was already having problems. I mean, it's like, it's inheritance as well. You've got to think that, when you get into office, there's that inheritance of other policies that were put in before you, and cabinet shifts around, and it takes a bit of time to get.
Yeah, but he sorted all that out because the first year he was in, less than a year, I think he talked about 3 months.
It's only been in a year and a bit.
All the policies that Trump brought in, that he could, and changed all the people who were there who Trump got rid of, come back.
Fair enough.
So he's back on his own platform, but his platform obviously isn't working right for him at the minute. And
Trump's bringing out his own social media, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I can't wait.
The one-sided Trump-centric, listen to me or else.
Well, nah. I listen to his opinions. Sometimes he's a bit of a numpty. Sometimes he actually talks sense. You know what I mean? And he actually, I think he's more hearted on doing it for the people and his pocket before you say it. Yeah, obviously, because if you're in power.
No,
every person who's been in power, I don't even care who used who.
I know they do. Yeah, but you shouldn't be going into it for that reason. I think. I mean, like, look at what's going on in the UK at the moment, right? Yeah. We're under this conservative government who are just content with lying in their own pockets. Yeah.
We're not corrupt.
It's like there's been report literally every time I've looked in the news this week. It's been MPs being accused of this, that, and the other, and it's generally taking money for one reason or another. Yeah. There was reports of MPs taking money from the gambling, community in terms of companies.
Yeah. They're in a whack
because basically there's a new legislation on gambling in the UK, and it's got to go in front of the MPs to kind of vote on it, whether they're going to just keep the laws the same as they are or strict to make them a bit more strict.
So
because there is a problem. Because there's a fucking like a bookies literally on most high streets now, where there used to be a Woolworths.
Do you know there's a lot in Africa as well?
In terms of like shops closing down on your high street, bookies don't seem to be effective.
They seem to be opening more.
They're opening more.
Richest woman in England was one, I think, from 369, is it, or 365?
I don't know.
She owned that. I think it was 200 billion or something like that.
Well, they've been accused of offering MPs sort of like entertainment sort of packages, so like tickets to Wimbledon or
to lobby for their company.
To lobby for their cause. Yeah. But that to me is immoral. You're taking bribes basically to line your pocket to get up to thousands of pounds worth of hospitality experiences, and then going into the Houses of Parliament and saying, oh, yeah, I agree with this. I think we should keep it the way it is. Not the fact that people, weak and spending the money in these bookies, and need help in some instances. They'd rather let that continue and have these, gambling companies thrive and make more money for them as well. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Another story about an MP during COVID who was paid to go into go to another country and do some consulting work, but then Skyped into the Houses of Parliament to sign off or cast a vote in a bill.
And
yeah,
it was an important bill.
And they said that they couldn't point to a law that he was breaking, and he was like in a bit of a grey area. Yeah. But this is the point.
Yeah.
These fucking MPs know where all the grey areas are, yeah? Totally. And they operate within the confines where they go, we wasn't breaking the law. We thought we were okay to do this. We're all right to have a second home or take a consulting job whilst being paid to be an MP or whatever. Taking bribes is a fucking...
That's what it is. And even a new MP come out and said that as soon as she got in there was a queue of companies coming in and going, we got you some tickets for this. We got you some this. And she goes, I refused every single one of them. But then when I looked around, near enough every other MP accepted gift.
Yeah, and that makes you wonder what else they're taking in order to pass bills just to line their pockets. And it's a fucking piss take.
Totally is.
Where these people work for us, not the other way around. They get a luxury lifestyle where they can take 20 quid out your universal credit. Yeah, because to them, 20 quid's nothing. Yeah, but to a common family or like a normal everyday family who relies on that 20 quid a week, then, it's a lot of money.
That's
this is it. They
shopping.
don't understand the difference. They're so out of touch. And it just does seem that when we do have a conservative government in this country, there's riots in the street. And it seems to be a pattern. And, at the end of the day, they're all fucking idiots. We need to change this system because the way that it's operated for so many years now, it just means that the same people and the same types of people are up for the job. And when we're elected, the choice is between that guy, and they're both basically the same person.
Which they have been for God knows how many fucking generations.
Then what choice do we have other than to say, well, do you know what? We don't want either of them, or we don't want any of these guys. We want a new system.
Yeah, totally. And I think it should start with the council.
Well, they're not working for us, are they? They're basically working to line their own pockets. And, when it comes to the people... who
fuck that for the next
who's supposed to be the people who reside here they're not helping us out anyway.
Totally. And I think it should be down to the council members first, because the MP for the council, when he gets voted in, then he can make his own decision within Parliament instead of listening to what the majority in their area is saying about this.
What I think is, if you're going to take the job as an MP, that's your job. Yeah, you can't go off doing foreigners, doing foreigners and backhanders.
Foreigners and getting paid.
God knows how much you're getting paid for it, but I mean, I can guarantee you're not worth it.
Yeah, totally. Well, talking about MPs and that, I was talking to you about. This just proves how much corruption in the councils and that are, because there was a councillor, Morris, who I've been watching for years, but even before he was a councillor, he was looking into stuff.
He just stalked him. He was just before he was a councillor, he was a nobody. He was a greengrocer.
I was actually watching someone else who was giving me information, and then he basically come up with he'd been voted in as councillor, and what his plan is to go into the council and get it done properly, put everything in order. Now, while he's been doing it, there's been there's one council member who's actually not turned up to any of the council meetings. If he doesn't do that for, I think, 6 months, he gets sacked, basically. He gets there, signs a register and fucks off. And they're not following the rules that they should be following.
But
basically.
This is the thing, because they have these grey areas. Do you know what I mean? They have I can turn up and just sign the thing, says I was there. And then I swan off to the other job.
EMPs used to do it all the time for Europe. Loads of them used to go there, sign the book. Even the mates would sign the book for them, get 350 quid, and then fuck off.
You see, this is the thing. It's immoral, and you can't be kind of running
it's not
the
the
country
law.
like
That's
that.
the thing.
And this is how, a lot of these crazy fucking laws get implemented because, things that kind of push the country back. Get pushed in. And when you've got our leaders
Showing us what
taking,
not to do.
saying, oh, we want to build a hospital, for instance, and they've got like a couple of companies, putting in their quotes for how much they can do it for. But there's one there who, the mates with, who's going to give them a bit of a kickback as well.
Yeah, most of the
that's
MPs
the one
in
they're going to go
front
with.
bench, are in on the NHS, on private companies coming in. Now I can
Of
see
course,
the
yeah.
NHS being destroyed over this pandemic and that, and they're going to, because they have been slowly privatising it. Because when Labour was in, it was 6%. Now it's up about 15 to 30%. And it's only going to take a little bit longer for him to do that. But this Councillor Morris, he was put on the news. I'd seen Gogglebox, actually, and it was showing about him. And the way they portrayed it was totally out of what it was actually about.
Out of character and out of context.
Yeah, I mean, even he was assaulted, and I watched it the other day. He was assaulted by actually one of the councillors' husbands. And that hasn't been brought up or anything like that.
What was the reasons behind that?
Because he kept going to... Basically, he was doing it in order. This is the way you should do it. Right, this is the way you should do it.
So basically, he was turning around to him and calling him out on things that they were doing.
And that's what he was put in there to
area.
do. Yeah. The people around his area, that's what they wanted him to do. And so he's doing it. But the way they're portraying him on the news to actually... the specific information of actually what's going on was totally switched. And this just shows me even more how much the news is being so corrupt and so one-sided, where it shouldn't be.
Well, we're not us.
Not us,
we'll go into a bit of
is.
everything, yeah. So I found this story. We'll get off the politics for a bit anyway. I found this story in archaeology.
All right.
And it's a discovery of the century, really. I think everyone's going to want one of these. Discovered an ancient hangover prevention ring.
Oh, all right.
You've heard of mood rings and stuff like that.
I've got one.
Well, this is a hangover ring.
Ah.
Most people use raw egg whites and Bloody Marys and all that stuff as hangover cures.
Hair of the dog.
But this archaeological dig in Israel has discovered what they claim to be the solution to hangovers.
What, so everyone's got to queue up and lick this ring?
It's a gold and purple amethyst ring.
Right.
And they say that it was used for as a hangover cure.
So get some amethyst and
to prevent the ill effects of drinking too much alcohol.
You know how to stop that?
Go on.
Don't drink as much.
I know, just moderate.
Save your money,
See, binge drinking's been a problem since back in the day.
Well, yeah.
The ring was found about 150 metres or 492 feet away from the remains of a warehouse containing amethysts. The type of in a type of jar, like what usually stored wine.
Right.
So maybe the ring was dropped in the vat while it did contain wine, and it just basically evaporated, and the ring was
kept
left.
the ring there. Yeah. It's a possibility.
I don't know. Like I say, I don't know how they think it's going to remedy a hangover, but I mean,
someone licked it by accident or something.
Somebody knows.
Someone's been sucking on it like a sweetie.
Well, suppose the person who wore the ring wanted to avoid intoxication due to drinking a lot of wine.
Well,
if they've dropped it in the barrel,
then
they've
had a
says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, what do you reckon?
Because the only way to get it is to drink it all.
Do you think an amethyst and gold ring would actually cure a hangover if you've got one and you never get a hangover?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but any kind of thing happens these days.
Talking about a hangover.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, mate. You know the blue screen of death on Windows?
Yeah.
Well, it went not blue for a while, didn't it, in Windows 10? It was you got a black screen of death instead.
Yeah, he didn't want
that. Well, the blue screen's back.
Whee!
I mean, it's nothing to be excited about, because if you see it means your computer's fucked.
Yeah, we get a new computer.
Nah, it's not fucked. It just needs rebooting, but I mean... But it is quite nice to... Do you know what I love? Do you know when you see billboards in the street, but they're all computer, interface now, aren't they? So it's like, you've got these billboards on highways and on main dual carriageways and stuff like that. And if it's computer programmed and their computer's crashed...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it loads of times where you're going past and it's got the blue screen of death
on
a billboard, and it's
I haven't seen that.
ha ha ha. Yeah, you look out for it. If you ever see one, take a photo and send it me because I'd love to see it. It makes my day.
Yeah, obviously, if you're not driving and you are a passenger.
If you're stuck in a traffic jam, and, you know,
that's true.
That's just like the worst highway ever. That it's like your billboard's crashed and there's a traffic jam.
Well, talking about computers, have you heard what happened to Google again worldwide, shutting down for about an hour?
Yeah, apparently they crashed, didn't they? So
They've been doing it a lot.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, a lot of
years.
companies do kind of put up a little message like a day before and say, "Oh, just to let you know, we're doing scheduled maintenance."
Yeah, they always use the maintenance, but
scheduled maintenance to make your experience even better.
They're probably adding shit on there to stop the truth from coming out again.
More truth filters.
Yeah, more truth. Yeah, because I'm hearing
truth filter.
YouTube, I don't know if it's right, but YouTube nearly getting ready to you have to pay to watch the fucker.
Well, they already have that. But
literally,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Whenever YouTube comes up and it says, "Do you want to try a free trial of YouTube Premium?" I just go, "Nah, you're all right."
I go, "Stop fucking sending it me."
I'm not really that interested. To be honest, I don't think YouTube's got that much premium content that I'd be interested in, to be honest. No. I mean, Amazon pushes it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can barely find something on Amazon that I like.
Yeah, and there are plenty of other ones out there that you can
well, this is
see.
The thing, but it's all over the place now. Yeah. Everything's all fucking...
Or it's time for someone else to come up with an even genius one that, stops all the corruption in there and all that shit and all the dodgy shit coming out and all the truth just comes out.
Truth TV by Trump.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
He'll pay for it. He'll pay for it.
Anything else?
Britney's free.
Britney!
Yeah, I heard last night Britney Spears, she's off her 13-year contract with her dad.
I thought she already was, because she started posing nude on Instagram, didn't she?
No, they took it away from the father I think it was about a month ago. They took it away from the father, but she was still under the review, because it comes under mental health, basically. But people have been fighting for freedom, and now she can do what she wants now, basically.
Fair play to the girl.
Yeah.
I expect a new album out imminently.
Well, she did 4 under that.
What?
4 albums, yeah.
Well, I suppose, because
now she's going to get the reward.
She refused to kind of perform at one point, didn't she?
Yeah, but she did end up doing 4 albums. She did.
Well, like
she
I
was
said
in Las
last
Vegas
time,
for
when we
while.
spoke about Britney last time, it kind of makes you make sense of the whole shaving head thing, because obviously a big part of that was image.
Yeah.
So if her dad's controlling her and saying she's got to be here and appear there and do this album and all that,
everything,
if she just goes and shaves her head and goes, "Fuck you, Dad," market this.
Yeah, but you're allowed a little mental breakdown every now and
again.
I don't think
it might not have been a mental breakdown. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking it was a big fuck you to her dad and saying, "Look, well, what are you going to do now? I've just shaved my head."
Yeah, it's true. Do
you know what I mean? So,
the girl's free now. She can do what she wants. She can get married. She's actually
have a baby.
Get the money now. She can actually get her money back.
Life.
She's just a couple of days of sorting out all the contracts and that, and she's loaded again.
Well,
free girl.
Good girl.
Good on the judge.
I found this story.
All right.
This is brilliant. This 7 plane crashes in 7 days for this pilot.
And you're saying it's brilliant? What?
Yeah, well, he ended up at the bottom of Lake Michigan.
Oh, what?
So this is a guy who survived not 1 but fucking 7 plane crashes, only to when you survive 7 plane crashes in a week.
Yeah, then I think you need to go back for the test. That even maybe Specsavers.
So this was a licensed pilot, Dennis Collar, who was the proud owner of a new aircraft. He called it the Sea Wind 3000.
Did call it, yeah.
It went from California. He went to California to check out some beautiful aircrafts. Then he basically he hadn't been flying for years.
Yeah.
But he got an aircraft there. Obviously, he's gone out.
So he didn't have to
he's crashed a few times. The first crash, so the first of 7 crashes happened when he was attempting to land a test flight in California. The landing gear got stuck, and he banged the plane up pretty good, but nobody was injured.
Good.
The second crash, the engine stalled, causing the plane to come down hard beside the runway in New Mexico.
Whoa, no petrol.
Right. Taking out a sign on the runway, lights and all sorts. Again, nobody was injured, right?
But it cost him a movie as well.
Crash 3,
yeah,
we know for sure that this crash took place at the same airport in New Mexico.
Oh,
yeah, as Crash 2. However, it's unclear exactly what happened.
right. So this one's the one that's been hidden away.
Told you it was good.
Yeah.
So after leaving New Mexico and beginning and being in the air for a couple of hours, he had more problems when the left wing hinge got stuck. Yeah, and the plane started pitching up. Right. It took all of the pilot's strength to control the aircraft before he had to land it in Nebraska. But it was a pretty rough landing, apparently. Right.
Oh, my.
So Crash 5. So he made repairs, performed pre-flight tests.
Yeah, and checks everything before you leave this time, mate.
He got up, he was in the air for about 10 minutes.
No.
Crashed again in Nebraska.
What the fuck?
So...
Didn't someone take his license away from there? Or they all thought, it's a coincidence, this?
Well, the sixth crash, and this is what he said, the hydraulic pressure gauge registered 0. Yeah.
Right.
So the fuel gauge showed that it was uneven supply. And basically he radioed over to the airport to ask whether whether there was a spotter on the ground who could look up and see if he was passing and let him know if his landing gear was down.
Yeah.
But he got no response. So as he was coming down, obviously he didn't have his instruments working.
No.
And his nose hit during the landing and the plane skidded down the runway. That was in Michigan. Yeah.
Damn. What is he trying to be a test pilot for?
Fuck knows what this guy was doing.
Area 51.
So the seventh crash happened on the 4th of July, right? So he got back up, right? And obviously since having the Seawind 3000, he's had nothing but problems.
Yeah.
Landing
get someone else
gears,
to do it.
You know, the flaps weren't working, all sorts, right?
Well,
so
UFO picks this one up, or does it hit into a bloody other plane or something?
Well, I thought, no, he basically had to do an emergency landing due to the wing flaps not responding again. The landing gear caused the plane to go into a vertical spin.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he nosedived into Lake Michigan.
What the fuck? But on a happier note, he won the lottery, didn't he?
And basically, that's where it ended up, the bottom of Lake Michigan, the plane.
Oh.
I think that's the best place for it, to be honest.
I think he should hand in his license.
I don't think he did win the lottery. I think this guy is the worst guy to go flying with.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't go test flying with him on a boat. Never mind, in the airplane.
I wouldn't even stand next to him.
Yeah, he's had really bad luck, or someone was trying to kill him. Or was he trying to get into that record?
Most crashes in a week?
Yeah.
He definitely done that record.
Oh, yeah, I would have thought so. I don't know anyone stupider to do that.
So have you got anything else before we get into NASA news?
I have, and funny enough, it is about UFOs.
There you go.
Around US air warship, maybe aliens, according to top spy chief.
Why didn't you mention him earlier?
It was her, actually.
Well, why didn't you mention her earlier?
I was going to, but you went into summit. But basically...
Oh, sorry, it's my fault. Sorry, people.
No, it's all right. We can still get into it, son. We can still get into it,
son.
The Director for National Intelligence, who basically runs 16 US spy agencies, is claiming that she, on the 27th of June, an event she was claiming before she brought Biden on, that she believes that there's a threat. There's a threat there, and it's possibly aliens. And she's the first high top member to actually come out and suggest this. And she was even questioned about stuff in space. And
what do you mean while she's still in office?
Well, because no doubt they're going to question her after she comes out of office. I'd expect at least 1 or 2 reporters to ask her. But she was asked about stuff up in space, and she goes, "If I told you some of the stuff that I know about what's going up in space, I'll be fired."
Right, there you go.
So there's definitely something going up off in space.
Well, there is stuff going up into space at the minute.
Is.
And going into NASA news, SpaceX capsule carrying 4 astronauts has docked with the International Space Station.
Oh, man.
Crew B.
Yeah.
Dragon Crew B are now up on the space station.
Yeah.
Having a lovely time, I suppose.
Good
200 miles above the Earth. It basically is in general orbit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, so
For
they'll
now.
be up there. So the mission called, so this is Crew 3, is the fourth mission and partnership between SpaceX and NASA. They'll be up there for a while, I think, now for a bit.
Yeah,
But
at least 6 months.
whilst they were up there, I suppose while they were up there earlier this week,
Yeah.
a chunk of of a Chinese satellite almost hit the International Space Station. They dodged it, but the space junk problem's getting a bit worse up there, apparently. I said this. We should be look. We can't be dumping stuff in space.
Yeah, and it seems like over the last I'd say over the last 2 months, there has been nothing but issues to do with the International Space Station. If it isn't that the Russians are leaving there and there's like something's gone on with the movement of it, and like then you've got like toilets blocked or not working.
Well, it's
and then you've got
23
fires.
years old. I don't know how long they were expecting it to be up there.
2030, they reckoned. But
That was its life expectancy.
Yeah, but now it looks like it's going to be 2024 by the
Okay.
looks of things,
Well-
because of the amount of problems that's happening at the minute. And like you said, satellite it's a big fucking station, and it can drop a lot of space.
Well, I mean,
and
over
it'll
the
load
past
satellites.
23 years, they've had about 30 close encounters with
Yeah.
orbital debris.
Yeah,
So obviously, this does need to be sorted out.
you do have a way of dealing with it if they think the breeze going to hit them. They got a little capsule, so they've got like an alert system on there that tells them, I think it's 250 miles beforehand or something like that. And it tells them, alerts them, and they get in the capsule just in case something happens. Then they can just drop out of there and, like, keep themselves nice and safe, hopefully.
Nicely.
Yeah. Well, have you heard about Jupiter?
I have heard about it. Go on, what's happening with Jupiter?
It's big, isn't it?
It's massive.
It's really massive. Well, it could be our major saviour again. Because explain because you remember last week I was saying about how they've taken a picture of a big asteroid hitting the big planet and, like, making a big big show,
mess.
a big part of light. Well, apparently it's been hit again. It's been hit constantly since September and October. It has been
They're bombarding it. With
it
what?
with meteorites, which is
We are, or they're just nature.
no, it is. Which means if it wasn't there, they would have been coming towards us.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, basically Jupiter's.
So
helps
that's what I'm
us a
saying.
lot
So,
with
like,
that.
just naturally, these asteroids are zooming about.
Yeah,
and
but
if
I
Jupiter
don't
weren't
think
in the
it's
path,
natural. I don't
well,
think.
where are they coming from?
Well, I think it could be this big asteroid
Well,
that they
that's
know that's
natural.
coming in, hitting other ones
That's
and
nature.
pushing. Yeah. Or something else has happened out there, or there's been an explosion in another solar system, and the pressure wave has pushed
Right. Okay.
a certain
yeah,
amount,
yeah, yeah.
on our
Well, that
outer side.
that's funny actually, because obviously that Oumuamua was the first interstellar
even still be
object
about that.
to come
Yeah.
through our solar system.
Yeah.
So it
from different sources.
like you were saying there, if it was something like external force pushing in, like you'd have debris
yeah.
coming into our solar system.
But wasn't it
Good
2
good
years
shout,
later?
that.
But wasn't it 2 years later that the other one come in? That the second one that come in.
Yeah.
So it's roughly around about the time now that a third one, if
Maybe
it's
they are
on
scouts.
spot,
Who
it could
knows?
be. You never know. I mean, it's one of these things, isn't it? But
Well, that's quite interesting.
I'm going to keep my eye out and see if there's any actual answers.
Did you hear about this?
Go on.
Right. Well, we all know about William Shatner going up into space on
yeah.
Blue Origin.
Captain has to
but
go.
one of the guys who went up with him,
Oh yeah.
it was called Glenn D. Vers, 49-year-old. He was a CEO of a big company.
Oh right.
Obviously, he had the money to be going up
Oh yeah.
into space.
Rich
Jeff,
fella.
he went to space with William Shatner.
He did.
Talking about plane crashes earlier as well. This businessman who travelled space with William Shatner last month has died in a small plane crash in New Jersey.
Oh no, man.
after a month of doing something like so kind of memorable, I mean, it's like so kind of strange to hear that was to happen, do you know?
Yeah, is there any inquiries on what's going to be going on? Was it accidental? Was it?
Well,
like
I don't know. I mean,
fuel,
obviously, he was basically he was killed along with another person in a New Jersey crash. The police have said the plane was a single-engine aircraft. And it went down on Thursday in Woodland area in New Hampton, in Hampton Township, in north part of the state. The Federal Aviation Administration alerted public safety against a look for a missing plane in the afternoon. So emergency crews found the wreckage about an hour later.
Shit, so they're gonna sort of be under investigation now. Then I should imagine.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, but the thing is, these CEOs and stuff, you know, they do travel around by private jet and stuff. I mean, it's like it does happen a lot. And
well, yeah, it was only a couple of years ago that footballer who was coming over, he got transferred, coming over, and he dipped into the sea. At night, he flew over at night because the pilot was a dickhead, basically.
If that's your mode of travel, I mean, doesn't that increase your risk?
Well, yeah, they say it's safer than driving a car, but yeah, you're not going to drive a car 50,000 feet.
At the end of the day, a car's not, 100%.
Well,
and
yeah.
I mean,
you get scratches and shit.
You've got to be careful whatever you're doing. If you're putting your life in the hands of technology,
yeah, especially you cyclists.
So, yeah, there you go. Anything else on the space stuff?
No.
Well, got Jeff Bezos as well. Actually, talking about he predicts that people will be born in space. I mean,
of course. At one point or another.
I reckon, we've said this about Mars.
Yeah.
And, if, people born on Mars are technically Martians and, the laws of Earth govern what goes on in Mars. And, I mean, Jeff Bezos is saying people will be born in space. I don't know if he means on his, spaceships or, space stations or whatever.
Well, I'd imagine stations because they're after it, aren't they, for 2024 on the moon? They want to try and get a.
Well, that's not space, is it? That's the moon.
Yeah, but then you've got an orbiter as well, so you can throw an orbiter and transfer to the orbiter to go down to the ground and come back up, and you can stay in the orbit to look up or do other specimens like the ISS.
Well, he says that people will be born in space and visit the Earth for vacations.
Yeah, if we give them a passport.
It's like, you can't come in.
Yeah,
sorry,
you get out of here.
You're one of Jeff's lot.
Well, we're trying to get rid of the aliens, and they keep popping their ass in. We can't stop them, so how are we going to stop them?
Talking about aliens, a donut-shaped UFO. Was spotted over Switzerland.
You know what? Swiss always get the donuts. Funny shape.
We like the donuts.
Yeah. Yes, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So on Monday night, the 8th of November, a photographer in Zurich, Switzerland, who goes by the Twitter handle of, I can't even say that.
I'll tell you what, they get some beautiful pictures and down there.
Avik.
Okay.
Aimed his camera into the sky and snapped several pictures of what is described as a donut UFO.
Yeah, it looks
pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it don't look like it's got a hole in the middle.
It's quite blue.
Yeah.
It's like a neon blue colour.
Looks like
and looks like a donut ring.
If you throw a penny in water and it vibrates, it's like the first two.
What?
That's what it looks like. If you threw a penny in water.
Yeah.
It's flat surface water, yeah, and it ripples. That's what it looks like. Looks like two ripples.
Okay, I can see where you're kind of going with that.
Yeah.
But,
more than a donut.
Well,
I wouldn't eat it.
Fair enough. It looked quite tasty.
Yeah, nice picture though.
Yeah, nice picture. If you think that's legit, donut-shaped UFOs.
I have seen ones like that before.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, what do you think if it was a forgery? You've already kind of come to the conclusion that it looks like a penny in water. So, this kind of goes into another story. I mean, France.
France again.
Frenzy sweeps France, apparently.
Oh, good.
Scientists baffled by mystery object filmed over multiple cities.
Oh, man. I haven't seen that. I'm going to have a look at that.
So, the UFO frenzy has erupted in France after dozens of witnesses in multiple cities across the country saw the same mysterious glowing object. Could it be the donut?
Oh, it could. Yeah, well, it's not that.
You know, the
that far
sighting
away
took
from
place on Tuesday night.
Could get there in seconds.
This week, witnesses across at least 7 different cities uploaded footage of the same bright tic-tac-shaped object. Cylindrical UFO. So it weren't a donut, this was a cylindrical one. You know, French people, they're out there saying it's real.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's a lot of them out there at the minute.
And the sighting left experts baffled. No one's been able to explain what it was.
Tell us now, we want to know.
Do you not think that, like, this is, like, you know, pinnacle now?
UFO sightings is like more than a day. It's like an hourly basis at the minute.
I've still never seen one. Well, I kind of thought I did once because, like, we were coming over a motorway bridge, but it was like saw something in the sky, and the person in the car who I was with, but we both saw it.
Yeah.
But by the time we saw it, it had been vanished behind a building or whatever.
Okay.
And it was like we both looked at each other. We knew we seen something, but we didn't see it long enough to actually say what it was.
Do you know what it was?
No.
Then it was a UFO.
Well, no, I know, but it could have been something we could logically explain if we could have had our eyes on it for longer.
Yeah,
But because it was so fleeting, it was like we both saw it, but we couldn't really say for sure. Do you know what I mean? It could have been a blimp or anything, a number of things, but it was one of them where it was like, what the fuck?
Now, that's slightly different to me and my brother seeing something like, I think I said to you, didn't I? Like, it was like Jupiter. It was like, it was literally like Jupiter was on the horizon.
You saw a planet,
planet
in the sky.
That was the first time I ever seen something like that. And then
do you not
on
think
the
that could have been
trip,
blue beam?
No, this was like, it was purplish. I mean, we looked up the street, we were gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked.
Way over Taylor's head. That I'm sure the listeners will agree.
Yeah, I think it was.
Was it blue beam? No, it was purple.
No, yeah, of course it was. But yeah, that was the first one, and then the camping trip when spotted UFO.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Taylor's personal accounts.
Yeah.
Well, if you've had a UFO encounter, we'd love to hear from you. Send us your photos. We'll post them on Instagram.
And if you've seen what I seen in 1997, I think it was, then yes, definitely send me a photo, because I've been trying to find out if anyone else actually seen it.
Where did you see it?
It was down in London.
Well, you're going to have to be more specific, because somebody might be like, I was there. Right, so you saw something in Ilford.
Ilford, 1997, daytime, roughly about between 4 and 6 o'clock. It was definitely not a sun. It was massive. I mean, literally, you look down there. Is this the
planet?
Yeah, it was massive. That's why I say it was
If anyone
Jupiter.
else saw a planet in the sky, get in touch.
Yeah, massive planet. It's fucking...
Other than that, if you've got any comments, queries, or suggestions, or input you would like to leave us a comment, or, you know, just tell us...
I'm losing my head.
Tell us about your day, you know.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
We would. Yeah.
That's pretty much the show.
It is.
Like I say, we're available on all podcast platforms, so wherever you get your podcast, we're there.
And
just search
share.
for the Never a Straight Answer podcast and we'll come up. Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, make sure you share to
Tick
your
the
friends
notifications, ring the bells, tell your mum, your postman, milkman.
Yeah. Next door neighbour, knock on in the middle of the night and go, oi, have you heard of these? These are all right, these.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they might give you a cup of tea.
Tell your parole officer.
Yeah, your prison cellmate.
Anyone who's got headphones, really.
Yeah.
Or access to podcasts.
Yeah. We're there. Everywhere.
Right, we're fucking dragging this on.
I know we are.
Right. Well, if you want to email us, and if you've got a story or you'd like to be on the show as a guest, email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. Yeah. We're available on Twitter at NASA_Never. And we're on Instagram. I said that, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, we're on Instagram.
But we are on there so much, you should say it again.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Anything else am I missing?
Merch. We got merch if you want to buy.
Free for a pound.
Oh, yeah, for £1 you could buy us a cup of coffee.
Yeah, totally.
Love a bit of coffee.
Exactly. Buy us a coffee. Get over to Patreon.
We are.
Lots of ways to contribute to the show. Yeah. We'll be back for another episode next week where we carry on.
Yes.
The alien disclosure.
Yes.
With a bit of a government project.
Yeah, I think the next two are a bit of a project.
Exactly. Thank you for everybody who's contributed from Patreon. Thank you for all our comments this week.
And all our listeners.
I'm going to bring back shout outs soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be I think the episodes have been a bit haphazard recently, but that'll change. That'll get back to normal soon enough.
We'll sort it out.
Thank you for listening this far.
Yes.
We'll be back next week for another episode. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you stick around and come back for that.
And don't forget to put a smile on your face every day. You'll be all right.
Well, yeah. Shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens. But if you're at the bottom, you can just go up to the top. There's nowhere else to go.
There you go. Right. Well, that's it for the show. I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
And we'll catch you next time for another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast. Peace.
Out. Williams.